Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first Brokers Are Better Network panel Facebook Live of the year. It's 2021. We're ready to start off strong with Are You Searchable? So Corey Meredith and I are here from AIME with two of our awesome Brokers Are Better Network partners, leadPops and WikiReatly. I'm going to kick it over to Sanjay first, if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then we'll dive in and get started with some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Val. Love the partnership. Thank you very much for setting this up, and great to join Christian from leadPops. We're actually partnering with them as well, so this is going to be exciting, an exciting discussion. By way of background, I'm don't hold this against me. I'm formerly a real estate lawyer, 25 years. Hard to believe. I think I might be dating myself, and a real estate developer for as I said, about the same amount of time. And I saw a lot of changes happening in the industry post the financial breakdown of 2008 and Facebook coming of age. And, WikiRealty was really born out of the ashes of the financial crisis and watching consumers take things into their own hands. So I'm really excited to tell you about, our view of the world today. So I guess with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Val.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Chris, I'll throw it over to you. Same thing, just give us a little introduction, background about yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Chris Steverson, Christian as well. People call me. Great to be here with both you guys, Val and Corey, Sanjay. Again, really looking forward to just establishing and growing this partnership. leadPops, really more than anything, we are focused on being a full turnkey mortgage marketing platform, really focusing on maximizing lead generation ROI. Personally, I am just a mortgage marketing nerd. I just love everything that goes with being able to get found. This searchable topic, you can wind me up and I'll talk all day about it. Our really focus is making sure you can get found, establish yourself, and make sure when people do find you, they have a really good call to action to convert. So this panel is just one for the ages. I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you both for joining us. We're excited for this. So we're talking, are you searchable? So first things first, let's start out really basic. What does it mean to be searchable, and what can brokers do, kind of the first few steps, in order to increase their searchability?
Yeah, I can kind of take that if you want, Val. I mean, so, as I said, I've had the benefit of watching the industry evolve, especially over the last 10 years. And, one thing that's really interesting, people think that with all this tech that's in place, that the industry's changed a lot. But if you really sort of think about it, the fundamentals dating back, 25, 50 years still remain true. And that is that real estate transactions today, whether you're in mortgage or real estate, are based on building trust and relationship. And in the past, a real estate professional mortgage broker would have to do that offline, sort of analog channels, right? Going to networking events. And today, it's still the same. It's still building trust and relationship, but that is done online. And in order to be, when you say, what does it mean to be searchable? Candidly, it's pretty simple. It's like, you got to be everywhere where the consumer is today. So you're top of mind when they are ready to transact. And being everywhere means you have a strong digital presence on all of the social channels, on search, as well as, on the search portals like the Zillows and the Trulias. And we have a pretty interesting way of getting you on those search portals, but competing with them at the same time. So pretty simple to do that these days. But I don't know, Christian, would love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. Searchable, in my opinion, interchangeable term with getting found. At the end of the day, the ability to successfully promote yourself, to be found on the web. Think of your everyday life. When you go online, you search for a local restaurant, a hotel. What are you looking for to help make a decision? Probably looking to see if they have 5-star reviews. The branding's done well. Reflecting online credibility of that business is going to gain your trust as a consumer. It works the exact same way in the broker world. Consumers are more likely to trust you when you go on Google or Zillow, Facebook. You do a search for, let's say, mortgage broker in your local area. You tend to find a few that populate towards the top. In that area, if you can get found, that's where a lot of the traffic goes. This top area in Google in particular is called the local pack. 30% of traffic goes to those people found there. You have to build that trust. So in our opinion, what's essential, what Sanjay was saying too, is making sure that you really claim your presence online. Your Google My Business page, or GMB for short, is a really good place to start for brokers. It's pretty straightforward to get that process taken care of and can really end up paying huge dividends. Once you've claimed your page, you want to begin by driving reviews. You want to start to set yourself up for success when someone does find you. Creating a YouTube channel, a business Facebook page, LinkedIn for recruitment. A lot of those efforts they're great, and being found is essential, but we also preach that, making sure that you have a call to action, having a dedicated path, that you want that consumer to take to not just create brand awareness, but to follow and go down that path. So if someone finds you on Google or Facebook or even referrals that look you up before contacting you, you have to ensure you have a really concentrated effort in place to capture them. Coupling your searchable efforts with a website in particular could be optimized for lead capture, really puts you in a good position to find success with online marketing and searchable. That's really a good starting place that I recommend.
Yeah, and I think you guys both hit the nail on the head here when you said it's about finding people, it's about being active. All of that builds up your credibility. And you're so right. Like whenever we want to go to a local restaurant, or we're not sure what we're in the mood for, you immediately go to Google. It's the same thing when you're looking for a mortgage broker, especially because all mortgage brokers are local to their specific communities. You really want to emphasize on that local element and be the first top of mind, the first one that they see when they search local mortgage brokers or mortgage brokers near me. It's the same thing when you say restaurants near me, I'm in the mood for Italian. Literally the same exact thing. And Google's nothing new. Being present on social media is nothing new. We preach it all the time, but we preach it because it's important. Not only does it build up your credibility, it makes you easier to find. You have these reviews that are testimonials for you. You don't even have to go out and get your own. You just make a good impression on your customers and they leave them for you. But for people who really haven't made this mark yet, or haven't really made the actual push enough, I should say, to get to being searchable, I'll start with Christian. Why do you think that 2021 is the year that mortgage brokers specifically should prioritize answering this question?
Absolutely. Thanks, Corey. I mean, really being searchable has always been very important. It was just done in a different fashion prior, as Sanjay alluded to. Traditional forms of advertisement like billboards and benches, strategies like those, they were viable. But now the world's moved online. And more importantly, it's mobile focused and voice search. They dominate. I think it's ComScore that says 50% of all searches will be voice search this year. I think Gary Vee said that as well at Fuse this past year, the year before. Those results pull up your information and listings online in a few different places. You look at Harvard Business Review. They say 46% of all searches are hyperlocal as of the end of last year. An example, as you mentioned, Corey, find me a mortgage broker in my local area, my city, my community. And about 53% of those consumers act upon that search in the first 24 hours. So you got to couple that with the times, unfortunately, we're in right now in COVID-19. What are people doing? They're on their phone, they're searching. So you have to ensure that you're searchable. And then when you're found, you have super online credibility, a pristine online reputation. At leadPops in particular, we conduct what's called DMAs. It stands for a digital marketing assessment. What that is a full audit of your business profile to unearth at the core, would you want to work with you? And we know in the broker world, you're just so busy. It's kind of tough to pull back and look 5,000 feet up, down and say, well, am I beating my competition? How am I ranking? What are some quick wins and actionable items you can take? I always tell our clients, it's great what you've done up to this point. You have a great sphere, great referral partners. But if your plan is to be in this space for the next 5, 10, 20 years, you absolutely have to establish your brand awareness strategy now to be found, because everything is digital. And I know Sanjay can speak to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, right? As you said, searchable was always something that you had to start thinking of. But and obviously COVID has heightened that awareness for all real estate professionals. Real estate technology and online presence went from a nice to have to a must have, right? And consumers have taken things into their own hands, so to speak. They're not just, even if you're searchable and you're found, they're not just going to pick up the phone and call you, right? They're doing a lot of their own due diligence before they actually pick up a phone and call the first few people that are seen on a Google search. They have to see them over and over and over again. And what I've found surprising that is, especially in Q3 and Q4 of last year, I have, fielded, numerous calls from mortgage brokers, from people in real estate, about, okay, I know now I have to do this. I was resisting change, but I know now that I have to do this. What do I got to do? And so a couple of things that kind of stood out for me was that despite everything that's happened with technology and the need to be online, the industry still needs to evolve quite a bit. And so to your question, like, why should 2021 be the year to prioritize this? Simple. I mean, you can get ahead of the competition today, believe it or not, merely by implementing some of these very basic strategies that, in my view, a huge percentage of the industry has still not adopted, right? Adopting online channels, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Google, all of these things are things that are still untapped opportunities. And I have conversations with real estate professionals every day about, okay, I have to create content like we were talking about. Restaurants, what's going on in the neighborhood? I mean, how do you become that local expert? That's where, WikiRealty, we focus on, because consumers don't want to be sold. They don't want to just see your ad about a mortgage or low closing costs, because it doesn't really differentiate you from any of the other mortgage brokers that are online. What consumers are looking for is value-added information, and that is all of that stuff around community, what's going on at the local parks, and especially with COVID, what restaurants are actually open and delivering, or what's going on at this organic grocery food store or this new development. Things that are happening in your backyard, oftentimes we assume residents or prospects know about, but in many cases they don't. So if you put out that content and you attach your brand to it and push it out everywhere where you're seen everywhere, you're going to become, over time, that trusted authority. You're going to be the one that they think of when they're interested in transacting. But, I still hear from folks, I know I got to do this, but I don't have the time. I don't know how, or maybe I just don't want to. Right. And this is where we can come in and kind of help these folks. Because I know that this stuff is hard. Facebook, writing content is hard. Trying to figure out what to write about is hard. Facebook continues to change their advertising algorithms, and you could spend all your entire day doing this, but then you won't be able to do your core business. So it's a matter of juggling all of this. And but one thing's for sure, if you do it, you will stand out from the competition. So that's why I think, more than anything, aside from everything that's going on with COVID, if you want to beat the competition, jump on these strategies right away.
Yeah, going off what both of you said, both great points that you're making. But a lot of this is, we're moving online, and some of the demographic of brokers are these middle-aged people who aren't necessarily used to that. So it might seem super intimidating to look at this and say, oh, I need to get all my ducks in a row and figure this all out. But realistically, we have so many tools that you can implement and be leveraging so that you don't have to be worrying about this all the time. So the tools like WikiRealty and leadPops will help you stand out and make you be searchable. So Sanjay, especially going off of what you said, really creating that trust for consumers, because it's one thing to be showing up in a Google search, that's fine and great, but they need to actually be clicking on your website and picking up the phone to call you. So in order to do that, you need to be a familiar face within your community. So what can these brokers be doing organically in order to be that familiar face and be recognized so that people do ultimately reach out to work with them?
Yeah, so a couple of things, and it's going to tie into some of the stuff Christian talked about in terms of having the CTAs and the websites. I mean, content is king, right? So you have to be putting out value-added content. Don't put out stuff like, I'm the best mortgage broker in town, or here are the rates. People don't care about that. We see it all the time. There are folks that feel that being on social is like a check the box kind of requirement, that if they just hire some company that helps them put out generic content that 5 other brokers in their market have, at least they've checked that box. The reality is, because we're seeing it on the back end, that kind of content gets 0 engagement. And so you're just wasting your money. But when you put out content about what's happening in a particular market, like I know we did a post for an AIME member who's in Philadelphia about a new drive-in theater. That's like the thing these days, right? People can't go to indoor theaters, so they're going to drive-in theaters. That post got so much engagement, right? Reached thousands of people, and 400 or 500 people liked that post. And then those people we're inviting them to follow that mortgage broker's business page. So then they're increasing their sphere of influence, right? Because you got all these new people following their business page. And in the back end, we're actually putting them into retargeting buckets. And then the following week, telling that group what it is you do in terms of your product. I mean,
Right.
that viral loop of building audience, building trust, getting engagement, and then building your retargeting group is a winning formula. And the other thing is, we've seen this before. Some folks attempt to do this with hyperlocal content, and they'll write about a local restaurant, but link out to, let's say, the Chicago Tribune article that talks about that restaurant. What happens there? You've captured their attention, but then they click to read the article that's interesting, and then they go to the Chicago Tribune. You've lost them, right? Mm-hmm. You have to keep them in your ecosystem, and that's where, with what we're doing and what we're doing with leadPops, that's our goal. It's like, okay, you got to engage them, but once you engage them, it's also key to keep them in your ecosystem so that they can transact and they can, click these calls to action. And so that's another very important piece. Engage them, but then keep them in your ecosystem.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Christian, I would love to hear your point of view.
Yeah, I'll echo what Sanjay had to say. I mean, obviously they do such a great job, hyper local, top of funnel, in conjunction with what we do. You have to start with an SEO friendly website. You need a hub where people can go to, rely on, with those established call to actions. And then from there, sure, you can post on your social media page or your drip campaigns or your CRM. But as Sanjay mentioned, don't have it be generic. We want to make it hyper local and be very helpful. And one thing I always recommend too is it doesn't always have to be sales related. It can be something going on in your city, your local community. So you get to be known as the hyper local expert. Post photos to highlight your events, your milestones, your accolades, certifications, association memberships, your niche services, COVID related. You can be very current. Anything your potential clients might find as a differentiator over your competition, it's extremely valuable.
Definitely. And just adding to that, mortgage brokers know, and we know working so closely with them, that their customers expect more from them. So if they have a leak on their house, now they're calling their mortgage broker saying, hey, do you know a roofer? So it's nice for us to frame ourselves as not only mortgage advisors, know everything, be able to teach them along the whole process, but also expand off of that. And I think that going back to those local community ideas, and they don't like being sold to, just being a member of your community is a huge selling point in itself, because guess what? It comes back to the care. You care about the community that you live in, you care about the people that you're serving, and in turn, you're going to see the reward that you want without shoving your message down their throat all the time and saying, I'm the best mortgage broker there ever was. So I think that those are all really, really great points, and that you guys are so right. Like, just being a helpful hand really goes a longer way than most people will ever understand. But there's also a misconception when it comes to being searchable, because it's a work in progress. So you sign up for WikiReatly, you sign up for leadPops, you sign up for whatever site that you want to do, and you want to increase your SEO search. You're not going to get 1 million leads tomorrow. So what would you tell someone who may not be as familiar with the searchable SEO world, that, it's important to be patient, but there's also a time when you can tell if things are working and not working, and what should that timeline really look like? Sanjay, I'll start with you.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because I always tell folks, right out of the box when we start with them, and look, if you're looking for short-term gains and leads, we're not the right solution for you. I mean, how many cliches exist out there about, good things come to those who wait, fine wine takes time, all of that stuff, right? It's no different in real estate. You need to sort of look at anything you do online as you did with anything you did offline. These networking events take time to culture relationships, billboards take time, shopping carts take time. There's no reason that you should look at online in any different way, right? You have to be prepared to invest the dollars to build that strong online presence. And you have to understand that it's a combination of sort of top of the funnel, people that aren't quite ready yet, to end of the funnel, people that are ready to transact. I once heard the chief information officer of a large mortgage company say that the greatest opportunity that mortgage brokers, loan officers are missing are connecting with people that are in the not ready now stage. If you connect with these people early on, top of the funnel, and when I say top of the funnel, I mean 9 to 12 months out, before they've started looking for a home, before they've started thinking about a neighborhood, certainly before they've look for a mortgage. If you start connecting with those people 9 to 12 months out, you're going to be the one that builds that relationship, and you're going to own that customer from the top of the funnel all the way down to through the entire funnel and get them to closing. And this is why we focus on sort of the neighborhood content. Zillow actually did a study that said that 80% or better of a consumer's decision-making process revolves around neighborhood information. So neighborhood is key. I mean, real estate, the property itself has become a commodity, so to speak, right? So it's really about the lifestyle. And, if you're connecting up at the top of the funnel, you're going to be the one that owns that consumer. And I don't know if you've seen, but Rocket Mortgage, I know big bad word, but they understand this, right? And Rocket Mortgage is actually putting their logo on the jerseys of esports players, a concept that I have a hard time understanding. These kids sitting around playing video games, and they got the Rocket Mortgage logo on their arm. I mean, if that's not top of the funnel, I don't know what is. And don't start asking about how you trace a lead from a logo on a jersey to closing, because you can't, and you have to go into this stuff understanding it. So there is no silver bullet. You got to be prepared to invest your money for the long term and understand over time it's going to pay off. You're going to build your pipeline, and you're also going to get short-term business.
Definitely. And just what you said about Rocket, that definitely is not a friendly word within this community, but it's something that we have to consider. Like, they are a powerhouse for a reason. They're clearly doing something right, or else we wouldn't, for lack of a better word, despise them so much. So we need to do a competitor analysis and say, okay, what are they doing right? What can I mimic and do better? So that's a great point. Like, just being within your local community. We talk about this all the time within the group too. And there's been so many members who have thrown out great ideas, but even like supporting cups for your local restaurant, like put your logo on that. Just being a part of active communities. I don't know, personally in my local community, I have a takeout Facebook group that I'm a part of. Talk about that. You never know. Like, you can build all of these relationships so organically too, that when people are looking for a mortgage broker, they're just going to think of you because they know you as a friend now. So I think that's another thing that people have to keep into consideration when they think about the long-term game here. The quicker the leads come does not necessarily mean they're going to be valuable or they're going to stick. So somebody who sticks around for a long amount of time is more likely to go through the entire process with you than someone who adapts really early and then drops off quickly after. So Christian, I would love to get your take on this too. For the people, just to reiterate the question, for the people who aren't as familiar with the searchability question, this is not something that happens overnight. So what does this process look like, and how long can people expect to start seeing some results kick in?
Certainly. And the same thing here at leadPops. Here I'm our senior VP of sales. I work really closely with Andrew, our CEO. We practice what we preach. It took us a while to get things dialed in for SEO, and sure, you'd love for it to happen in weeks, but as Sanjay said, as you mentioned, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some months. And Google in particular, as your number one search engine, that takes time because they have to index any information that you claimed and established. And that can vary really according to a number of different factors. And the big thing to remember is each local area has competition and many different factors that will vary. So you have to game plan with a strong strategy. It's not something you can go into tepidly. You have to really hit it pretty hard. And everything always points back at the end of the day, we feel, to your Google My Business page, your website. Do your part as a broker, leverage your sphere, your past clients, your referral partners, share your online profiles, your lead capture optimized website, create some more buzz there. But in the same breath, dial in your local SEO, your listings, your citations. They're instrumental in really looking to outrank a competitor that's been in the space potentially for a much longer time than you. Optimize your presence online for local search, update your business name, your business category, your NAP. A lot of people don't know this. Google pulls from over 300 sources to validate, in their eyes, your credibility online. If you worked at a previous brokerage, you have a different phone number, a different address somewhere, and on your Facebook page versus your Google page versus your website or Instagram or Zillow, that can dock and hurt you, even if you have dozens of reviews. So those things have to be dialed in. You want to add some branding too, good pictures, previous closings. Of course, your reviews have to be up as well. All of this can work to expedite the process so you can see some results. But the truth is, it's going to take some investment, and some onus on both parties. Both, let's say it's WikiRealty or leadPops, but also a broker to work together to get there. As long as you stay consistent, it's almost like a daily vitamin. You keep taking it, you're going to get there. You're going to get better, but you can't skip a day. You can't skip a week. You need to keep consistent with it.
Yeah, and a lot of people's Yeah, Val, I'll let you go.
I was just going to say, I love that you both use the word investment, because I used to work at a marketing firm, and when we would work with these clients, they would view it as a cost. It was a cost to them monthly. No, it's an investment. If you invest more in it and you invest consistently, you're going to see a payoff in the long run.
Absolutely.
Definitely. A user commented SEO is a long-term play, and it's so true, because let this be your 2021 resolution. Invest in your company. It's your career. You're not going anywhere unless you're retiring tomorrow. It's something you have to take into consideration, because, hey, we're in the 21st century. This is 2021. We got to stay with the times. And in order to compete with big tech, we got to do the things that they're doing, and we have to do it better. So before we wrap up here, I just want to do one quick last final question, and I'll start with Christian. Is there anything that you want to say, any takeaway piece or anything else that you would like to add to give our audience some insight?
Certainly. I want to thank you both again for just providing the platform and scheduling this. This has been a lot of fun and very informative, we hope, for everybody. More than anything, I want to mention some of the connections with WikiRealty and leadPops. A lot of times we had some members that will come to us from AIME and say, well, do I go their route? Do I go your route? And one thing we just want to stress is that we work in conjunction. It's not a this or that. It really is top of funnel, moving along to provide good branding, good information, and call to actions. So when looking in the network, just know that we can really help dial you in from A to Z. And especially here at leadPops, the biggest thing is we want to help you with the evaluation of your business. We know it can be a little bit tough right now, a little bit daunting to get from maybe some of your traditional worlds. I have a lot of our members at Solaron, Excel. We'll get you there in time. Don't worry about it. That's one thing, if I had to just stress here at the end, is that yes, it's daunting, but what's a better time than to start this new approach for online marketing and being searchable than 2021? We're 7 days in? What's the point in waiting? At this point, if you keep waiting, you know what? Maybe someone else in your local market's going to take that plunge. Don't let them beat you to the punch. Let's get there first.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And Christian, to your last point about why wait, it's interesting. I've seen a trend, because we started our business working with realtors, and a couple of years ago we started bringing on the professionals in the mortgage space. And the one thing that I heard over and over again, which caused us to double down in the mortgage space, was mortgage professionals are tired of waiting for referral business, right? Which makes sense to us, because they've seen that now consumers are connecting directly with the mortgage professional first and waiting for the mortgage professional to refer their professionals to the customer, right? Generally in real estate, you pick your horse and let that person kind of guide you through the entire transaction. And we've seen this trend accelerating. And so 2021 is the year for, I think, mortgage professionals to sort of flip that script with realtors and control that consumer right from the beginning of the process. So the time is now, as Christian said. And as to how we work with leadPops, we get the same questions. Are you guys competitors? No, we're not competitors. We work so beautifully hand in hand with sort of our bringing people in top of the funnel with content, and then funneling them into the leadPops websites and sales funnels. I mean, we've got some great case studies already. It's a holistic solution as far as I'm concerned. I'm excited to sort of grow the relationship with leadPops as well over the course of 2021. We see nothing but good things. And but look, at the end of the day, it's time management, right? You guys focus on what you do best, with mortgage, and leadPops and we have developed some pretty unique solutions that can basically take a lot of these tasks off your plate and save you a lot of time. So we'd love to connect with any of you that are interested in learning more.
This is the year for all of us to put our best foot forward. We have a lot of work to do. We're ready to do it. Thank you both so much for being here. From Val, myself, the entire AIME team, you've LeadPops and WikiRealty are great partners. You guys offer such great services to our members. So we want to thank you guys for that. Thank you everyone for tuning in, for all of the comments and the questions. And we will see you next Thursday because we're having a AIME hosted webinar called How to Set Up a Google My Business Account. So as Christian touched upon, it's very important for your SEO and searchability. So if you have not registered for that yet, we'll drop a link in the comments and we'll see you then. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Val.